Today I'm going to give you a few tips on observation drawing. The first thing you need to do is find something that's interesting that you'd like to draw, but something that's not too complicated. And I just chose this little antique bottle that belonged to my grandmother, and I've had it for years. So I'm gonna start out by imagining that there's a line down the middle of this because a lot of things are symmetrical. And if you can draw that symmetry, it's gonna help your drawing a lot. So before I even start drawing the contour, which is the outside edge of the bottle, I'm gonna start with a line of symmetry. This is the same thing if you're drawing somebody's face or a jar, anything that's round like a cylinder. The more you look around, the more you're gonna notice things that are symmetrical. So the next thing I like to do is kind of mark where the bottom of my object is going to be, and then the top. Now I might have this a little bit wrong, but it's okay because I can always go back in and fix it. And then I'm gonna kind of look at the contour, which is the outside edge. I'm not worried about this little detail or any of the highlights or anything yet. The first thing I wanna do is get that outside shape done. So I can sort of tell looking at this that this part of the bottle is much bigger than this part of the bottle. So I'm gonna start up here and try to get that shape. And actually my line looks like it's moving in a little bit, but this bottle actually looks like the line might be going out. So I'm going to change that. That's where your power of observation comes in. Now, since this is symmetrical, I'm going to try and make this exactly the same on the other side. And yes, this can be tricky, but this is just how you get better by practicing. Now, I think I may have gone a little too far, but I'm not really worried about that right now. I'm just trying to get that basic shape done. And then I can actually kind of hold my pencil and see that this line slopes this direction. Your pencil can be a good way to check angles when you're drawing. So that's another tool you can have. And then I'm just gonna work on the top part, which is actually a curve or an ellipse. And just kind of carefully draw that. So using that line of symmetry really was helpful in drawing this because this item is so symmetrical, but it can be helpful when you're drawing lots of other things too. So now that I have my contour, I'm just gonna start looking for some of those inside edges that I see. And I see another ellipse down here. It's a little easier for me to see looking from my angle than maybe from straight up where you're looking from the camera. But I'm just gonna add that in. It's not very big. I'm trying to give this bottle a three-dimensional look. And then I see another contour edge right here. I'm gonna draw that on as well. So depending on what you're drawing, you might have more edges inside of your object than I do. Now I'm also gonna start looking for some of those little highlighted edges. And then when I feel like I have all of those little details in place, I'm gonna go in with my colored pencil and do a little bit of shading. As I finished this drawing, I tried to find the darkest areas and shade those the darkest with my pencil. I could keep going with this drawing. It's not really where I want it to be yet, but you get an idea of how I left the highlights light and shaded around those. And just kind of tried to carefully draw what I could see. And I have another example of a Kokichi doll keychain that came from Japan. And I drew her too using the line of symmetry. So I kind of imagine there was a line coming down here, and I used that to help me line up the symmetry when I was drawing her. So if you can find an object that's symmetrical, this will be a good thing to practice today.